welcome to our fourth respondent in this digital democracy series about the New South Wales proposed legislation to do with Crown lands in New South Wales. And I have our fourth respondent here, and if you could say your name and your interest in the area.
My name's Angelo. I live in MacMasters Beach, and my interest is that it wasn't that long ago I found out about what is happening here with the Crown lands.
So, Nina, you seem to represent. Thank you for coming in today. I know this is the whole project is very rushed because of the time necessity around it. When was the first that you knew about this particular proposed legislation?
Probably about 10 days ago, when I was at home. I've been writing a book, and a friend arrived to sort of has her finger on a few pulses of what's going on, and she said, "Did you know that we could lose all our land, and in MacMasters there's a whole lot of land around our lagoon and along the foreshores, and it could be lost?" And I had no idea. There was another friend that was there with me. She had no idea. She said, "You've got to put something in quickly because you've only got a certain amount of time." And I said, "Well, how come none of us have been informed about this? None of us, no residents. I know that at MacMasters, and I've been there for about 28 years, we've got a fairly good community that's on the ball and knows what's going on, but nobody had mentioned this at all."
It seems to be that there are a good deal of well-informed and well-researched people on the Central Coast about all manner of issues.
Yes.
You know, credit to their intelligence and the time they have to do the research that we often draw on. But I think fair to say that you represent those people that don't really know. I know it hasn't been discussed in my Progress Association, but have you got any insights into the legislation at all, or the proposed legislation?
No, Dave, I don't. I'm just really concerned that we haven't been asked, that nothing's been discussed, that there've been no meetings, that they haven't sent us any letters letting us know where something like this can be knowledge, because it's almost like they don't want us to know about it.
It's it's tempting to think that way. However, there was an Auditor General's report in the management of Crown lands that picked up a series of issues, and whether it was a result of that or otherwise, there was an upper house inquiry that looked into that. One of the respondents, Mr. Armstrong, said that it doesn't seem that the legislation reflects any of the reports that the Auditor General or the upper house inquiry is concerned. Have you, to draw that out, have you seen any discussion about this in any media, for example?
No, and I'm on social media a fair bit.
Yeah.
So when I found out that day, I said to my friends, "Can you just pull up a map?" There was a map that was put out. "Can you pull up a map?" And they sent it to me, and I put it up on my Facebook page. But it didn't do a great deal. Not many people responded because no one knew about it. And I had not much knowledge to even, but I did say, "Look, what is going on here that we don't know about?" And it concerned me. And I think that, we're in a city here that we won't have any representation in this city until the end of next year, next September.
Yes.
And so all this seems to be going, under the radar of community being aware of what...
So normally perhaps you'd say that the councillors would engage with the community about this sort of process. So now that we're under administration, that hasn't happened. We had an ex-councillor here just a little while ago.
Yes.
That would confirm that.
Well, that's it. It's like you don't need to know. We don't know what's going on. And there's no representation for us either.
Yes.
Things that were bothering us or things that were happening, we could get onto the councillors because that's why we vote them in.
Yes.
They're there to represent us. I think, excuse me, it's a very safe thing not to have anyone there representing us while they pass all these things through. I think it's criminal, personally. That's my idea. I think that it's not a democracy. It's like the people don't really exist, we don't care, or they're so stupid, and they're so busy in their lives that, we can pass a whole lot of these things without them knowing, and before we know it, it's done and it's in legislation and it's finished. I think that's really is a sick way of running.
It's certainly not an informed way of running any decisions, and we're certainly hoping with this process that we reach out to legislators to buy a little bit of time so a proper debate can happen around the whole thing. I assume that you would support that idea of buying a bit of time so we could have a debate.
Absolutely. And look, we need more transparency, Dave. We need more transparency. And what about that word, integrity? Well, how about being a bit truthful? Why are they hiding things from the people that they're there to govern for? They're there for us, we pay them, they're our public servants, which is they're there to serve us. They're there to hide as much as they can from us. Now, until we can get back to this integrity and really start working ethically, transparently, we're never going to really work together to have a full-on, blooming, amazing society.
Well, that's an interesting point, and me working in this digital democracy space for the time being, one thing, as I've done through various projects, seems to be that there are a good deal of people who would like to get involved in making decisions, and frankly, many of those people are very skilled people, but they seem to be frustrated by being held out of the decision-making process. Is that a little bit how you feel?
Absolutely. I think it's about divide and not unite. It's almost like everything that's being done is to divide people, divide the community away from the councils, away from the state government, and that we're all being patted on the head, patronisingly like that. Leave it to us. We know what's good for you. Come on, you voted us in. Leave it to us. Just trust us. And while we're working hard to survive and to get through, they're doing some backroom deals and not even letting us know about it.
Well, the thing that seems to, the shortfall of that particular, let's just say, executive thinking process, as opposed to a democratic, is, you mentioned it before, bringing the people with you in a decision. There certainly is a lot of frustration in the community. I think it's fair to say Facebook and other social media have been an outlet for that. But my observation is very little of that is captured, that even constructive comment or even outrage to various things is being captured by decision makers. Do you ever feel when you're on social media that you're actually getting through to the people that make the decisions?
I don't know if I'm getting through to the people. I know I'm getting through to people who aren't, and I know that I can. I know that what I say, can get people stirred up. I still fail to understand why they wouldn't want us to work as a unified people, because it would be for the betterment of all of us. We want a thriving community that everyone feels that their input is valued. And look, we're not going to please all of the people all of the time, and our ideas won't always be right or accepted, and there'll always be discussion. But it's about us having that ability to be asked, to be notified, and just to be listened to. But nobody wants to listen because they're not telling us. So if they're not telling us, they're not going to hear us.
Well, it's a difficult thing. Democracies have always been painted as difficult, but the alternatives are perhaps, and you very well know in your history, the alternatives of democracy are horrific in many regards.
And unfortunately, I see things happening in this country that look like they're going in that direction. And it's a very, very sad and frightening thing.
So while I have you here, the broader pitch for real engagement rather than social media engagement. What sort of suggestions would you like to see come up, so a connection between the people and the decision makers?
Well, for a start, I think it would be if they called a gathering of people where we could actually all sit together.
A town hall style meeting.
Absolutely, and just be told what they've got in mind and to actually ask what people's input is there, and not just treat what people say and say, all right, we've tokenly done the meeting, we've asked the community, it's only token, let's put it aside, and that's been happening very often.
So take those
to actually take them on board Because they, you know, having lived in this area for about 44 years
Yes.
now, and I've been involved in the arts and
Indeed.
community a long time, how many meetings, how many days I've sat in there while they've worked out plans and we want to know what the community wants, and here's another group, there's another group. I tell you, I don't know how many, if there's one or two, that they've actually taken anything on board. It's all right to put their bits of stick-it notes all over boards and, you know, people put their ideas, but when it moves out of that space and back into council, it's like they pull them all apart, put them in the bin, and they do exactly what they want. I mean, I'm a bit outspoken, as you know,
Well, I
Dad.
do know that, but it's important. I know that you speak to so many people every day, so we wanted to ask you about your opinions about this particular bit of legislation. So I think that we'll round that off there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to the studio for probably a discussion, a more broad discussion
I think it was.
about the arts and democracy in the future.
Yes, and I'm
Okay.
always happy to lend my mouth to
Thank
it.
you, thank you,
Thanks,
Nina.
Dad.